Hi Flosstube, it is Helen D. I'm back with another tutorial, but this is kind of a let's figure it out together tutorial. I need to finish this piece. It's Corgi Caboodle by Plum Street, and I want to finish it similar. Let me zoom out just a smidge here. Similar to this piece. So this is they call it a mini tabletop chalkboard stand. I found this one at Target in the Halloween, like in the Dollar Spot Halloween section a few years ago. But you can still find them. They're typically in the wedding section. So this is a pack that I had in my closet, and it was a pack of 6. So they're out there. Mini chalkboard stand. I like them because they have this nice thick wood on the bottom, so they completely stand up on their own. And at Halloween they look like a tombstone. So this is the one I had finished before, and this one I knew that I would have multiple things on there, so I used a washer and a magnet, and even the flowers, the felt flowers, were on there with a washer and a magnet. This piece I'm doing today, I don't think I will washer and magnet because it's a gift, and it's not something that will be swapped out. So I'm going to just mount it right to. So that's what we're going to do. Now, this piece, the stitched piece, is a little smaller, so I had room. I got a loose string. I had room to put a piece of fabric behind it to kind of give it a pop of color. This particular piece, I won't have that. It's going to be kind of tight. So last night, I measured my stand, I measured my piece, and I actually cut out my mat board. I had sticky board, so I know that this is not going to be, if I want room for flowers up top, I don't have room for any fabric or anything extra. So I cut my mat board. I will only have a little bit of extra fabric around this edge, just so it will all fit. It'll be a little tighter than I usually do. So I have my sticky board, and I'm going to mount this on the sticky board. We'll do that first, and then we'll make some felt flowers and see how that works. So first of all, I cut a little piece of cotton batting, and I'm just going to take the sticky board off, pop it right on there. I'm close enough. And then if I left myself room, if I would clean my table off, you guys can't see beyond here. It's a mess. Don't look. My husband will tell you the same thing. And I'm just going to trim this right to size. I like using the batting, because it gives you a little more flexibility when you're mounting your piece. And you're not putting the sticky part right on your stitches. So that's all good to go. This hadn't been cut down yet. I'm just going to cut, I'm not even going to measure. Well, I guess I am, because this laid on there and it's 2 inches. I'm just going to cut around it because I don't need all this extra. And 2 inches is more than I need, but it's what I have. I did plug my glue gun in. You can use whatever glue or adhesive you prefer. There. I think I'm done with these. I'm not done with those, but we'll get them out of the way. I'll need them for the felt. So here's my piece. It had a crease line in it right here, but you're not going to see that, so I didn't worry about it. I did not put any interfacing on because I'm mounting it on a hard piece. If I were stuffing, I would use interfacing because I don't want to snag one of the flosses with my chopstick or my quilt point turner or my finger or whatever I'm stuffing with. But with this one, I'm just going to put it right on there. So I'm going to try to line this up, and I'm going to have to turn because I'm using the window. If you hold it up to the window, you can really see the outline of the board. So that's what I'm doing to just try and get my margin the same on each side. Then I flipped it upside down. Because I used Aida, it's very easy to line right up by the Aida line and see if you got it straight. And then the mess fell. Don't look. Sometimes if I'm lining something up, especially if it has a border like this one, I'll take my Stitchery tape. I have too many scissors. And I'm just going to cut just a tiny little bit, 2 little pieces. The Stitchery tape you can get on some LNSs will have it. I've gotten it on Amazon. I've gotten it on officesupplies.com. It's an 1.5 inch wide, acid-free, double-sided tape. I also just picked up some score tape, which I could have used here, which is an acid-free double-sided tape, but it's only a 1/2 inch. I should have just used this here, but I wasn't thinking. So it's a little thinner. I picked this up thinking it would be good to put pieces of, to cover up the back of picture frames. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to fold this up to hold it in place and then flip it over and see how off I am. Like I'm crooked down here. But on the sides, they look pretty good. Like I think I got it. And again, with the Aida, I can count. So I need it to come a little more this way. And that tape, you just pull it right up. It's not going to hurt a thing. My sides look better. I'm a little off up here. There. I would be happy with that. That would be close enough. So when I put that on there, I'll just have to try and keep these lines straight. So, different ways you can mount. You could lace it if you wanted to. You could hot glue it. You could Stitchery tape it. You could Aleene's tacky glue it. Whatever works for you. One thing I am going to do, and I'm trying to just hold this in place, I'm going to cut off some of this extra corner fabric because I don't need it. Now I didn't cut all the way to the board, right? There's still a 1/2 inch. I probably could have gone closer, but I'm just going to trim some of this extra off. And that will make it a little easier to get your corners tight. Honestly, I could trim extra off all the way around this, but that's okay. So, double check. Because I have so much extra fabric I left, I think I'm going to use the Stitchery tape today. Because it will fit without making a big mess. So I'm going to lay that right on there. Cat hair. And this way with that border, if I need to adjust, it's easy to peel up. So I usually typically do my small sides first, which in this case is top and bottom. Pick the cat hair off. Like I've got a little less room here on the bottom, so I'm going to loosen this one. And see if I can kind of push some of that up to the top. Which is why I like, you know, if you have it on with the batting, you can just play around with it a little better. And then I'm going to tighten this one up a smidge. Yeah. All right, so the sides. Get off there. There it goes. So when I do the sides, to try and keep my corner as tight as possible, I start on one side. I kind of fold this in a little bit, that little bit, kind of fold it in and flip up one corner, and I'm kind of pulling it. Like, I don't know how well you can see, but I kind of pulled it over a little bit to keep it away from the edge. And then I'll do the same thing with the other side. Kind of pull that corner in a little bit and fold it up. And then I just fold the rest of it up. And then, ooh, I'm way off. I'm way off here. That's terrible. So I'm going to have to fix up here. I pulled it too tight. And the Stitchery tape lets me just adjust. That's better. That's better. It's still not perfect, but I can kind of give it a little pull and even this out. We'll do the other side. That is the benefit of the Stitchery tape. It's hard to make adjustments like that when you've used your hot glue. You can do it, but it's not easy or fun. So I'll fold that one in a little bit. Fold this one in a little bit. So that's what I have so far. My margins are off here. Like, it looks good at the bottom, but I'm going to try and fix that a smidge. Let's see if I can pull some of that over. Getting a little ratty over here, so this might be my last go. It'll just be what it will be. That's the thing with pieces with straight borders on them. I think that's going to be good enough. That's going to be good enough. So on my back, like looking at it from the front, I'm comfortable with these corners. I think they're tight enough without being uber bulky. If you couldn't get your corners quite as tight as you want them, it depends on, I'm going to zoom you back out a smidge. It depends on what fabric you're using, how much batting is on there, right? Some fabrics are stiffer. They're harder to get that tight corner. If you can't get it as tight as you want, I go in with, I sew it up. I'll go right in afterwards and just do a needle and thread and sew up those corners. And then you get a really nice point. This one I'm planning on putting a piece of cording, a piece of cording around it, so it will kind of cover up some of this if it's not perfectly perfect. So that will be, and then I'll have a little bit of room on the top for some flowers. I'm going to mount this on here first, and then I'll go around and do my flowers. So I don't want it, personal preference, I don't want it right up on the bottom, and I need enough room for my cording. I made cording last night. I do have a video where I show how to make cording, which I will link below with the time code, the timestamp of when that is. Choose this one. This one says you can rip it with your finger. I haven't tried it yet. Let's see how accurate that is. Oh yeah. I'm just going to put this on here to hold it in place while I'm messing around with it. Maybe. Maybe I'll hold it in place. It's too puffy back there. It's too puffy. So I think I need to leave like about that much room. I left like 1/4 of an inch. So because the tape is not going to work because there's too puffiness, I'm going to use my hot glue. I'm going to get a glue stick. Then I'm going to use my hot glue and really just glue that on good. So I'm going to just slather my glue on the back and get this where I need it to be. Oh, we lost our light. Hold on. I have issues with my lights, so I apologize if I have to hit it. Now, I don't mind using the hot glue on my piece. I know some people are not fans. Again, use what you're comfortable with. It's on there. So now I'm going to do my cording around it, and then I don't have a ton of room for a flowery thing, but we'll figure out, like, that's why I wanted to do this first, so then I knew what size. So the cording, I used 2 colors. Last night I went around that piece of mat board. So you kind of, you measure with your floss, you measure all the way around. Get up there. 1 time. And then you quadruple that length. And then you, on your new long length, you do, depending on how thick you want your cording, I did 2 strands of a light purple and 2 strands of a dark purple. Typically when I attach cording, I start on the bottom so that when I'm covering up the little end bit, it's on the bottom. This is going to be very difficult for me to get my finger in, so I'm going to end up doing it on the side. And I should have left a little, I'm looking to see where I can tuck that and it will be the least noticeable. I should have left one little spot with a little less glue in it. I'm going to go right along here. So I'm going to lay this up and line it up so that my cording will kind of tuck right in there at the end. So when I'm starting, I like to leave like an inch that I don't glue yet. I'll glue that at the very end. And I'm just going to lay a little line of glue and start gluing this around. Again, if you don't like the hot glue, you could use the Aleene's glue. You could pin it all the way around if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use the hot glue. I'm surprised we don't have any cat helpers today. I did open windows in other parts of the house, hoping that that would lure them away from this room. All right, the bottom is going to be the trickiest because it's tight in there. I'm going to come up around this corner and we'll tie it off. Okay. All right, so you've got a little extra. So when I made the cording, I saved out one little scrap of floss, and I'm just going to pull one strand from it. And I'm going to see where these line up, and I'm going to tie off my long piece, because what you want to be able to do is tuck your ratty end kind of under and then cover it up with your good end. So I'm going to line these up to see kind of where they're going to overlap. Sometimes I put my knot kind of in first. And then line it up. And then I'll put another. Now, if you had enough of this and you wanted to save it for a project, which I don't think my piece is quite big enough, if you put another knot in and then cut in between them, it will save this second piece of string. Mine is really not big enough, so I'm going to cut off these little strings. Oh, these aren't the ones I like. I have two pairs of these and one of them is sharper than the others. And then I'm just going to cut that off. So I just cut it off a little bit before. So then I can flip this one up out of my way and put my glue down. Glue this one down. Okay. And then this, like, the little bit, I'm just going to take my finger and poke it kind of under my piece as much as I can. Okay, kind of poke it down in there. And then this piece will go right over it. So now I'll put glue down here. So it kind of goes right down over it. And then to secure that last little bit, I'm going to take a flathead pin. And let's poke it right in there. So you can kind of tell, but only if you're really looking for it. And that's why typically I do that on the bottom of my piece. So there's my cording. So I have just a little bit, just a little smidge up here. So on this one, I made felt flowers, and then I took a piece of mat board, cardboard, sticky board, whatever I had. It was just a little scrap, and I glued the flowers to that so they're all here as one piece, and then I magneted that on. Now this one I know that's too big, so I need smaller flowers. I thought I want this is a different design, a different kind of felt flower. I've made felt flowers. I just go on Pinterest and I look at different felt flowers, and usually they show you kind of how to cut them. So I thought I might do something along those lines, and then some leaves and maybe some other flowers. I was going to make this one and see where I got. So put my scraps away. So to make this kind of flower, I'm going to cut. I told you guys it's a mess. Don't look. Get out of there. I have some felt. This is actually a piece left over from the Spring Berries, the die pack we did with Ruby Mountain Dye Works. And these are two, they're Benzie designed felts that I just happen to have. So they're not, this one is craft store felt, which I kind of like to practice with. And then I pull out my nicer felt when I'm actually doing it. If you had like the felted wool, like it all works. So whatever you have. So for this one I thought I would try, we'll see how it looks, to do a two-toned flower. So I'm going to do the light purple in the middle and then the dark purple. So I'm just going to cut like this little strip off. To start, and I don't want it to stick up a whole lot. That looks like I did 3/4 of an inch. You have to fold it in half, so I'm just going to square this off, and it's going to be about an inch, and we'll see if that is thick enough. So my little strip is 1 inch wide by however long it happened to be. I'm going to fold this in half and glue it. So I'm going to run a line of glue on one end right on the edge. And then fold it in half. And then get glue off my fingernails. So I folded it in half, so now it should be a 1/2 inch, about a 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to take my sharp scissors and I'm just going to cut, not all the way down to the end, but I'm just going to cut little snips. And depending on, these are like your petals, so they don't have to be even. You could use pinking shears if you want to give it a little extra. I'm hitting the glue. So now I kind of have this. Then you take one end, put a little bit of glue on it, and we're going to roll it. So you kind of roll that around, and we're just going to roll it up. Once it's started, it's pretty easy. Let's just roll it up. Boink. So that would be like the center of my little flower. And I might need to just secure this end a little bit better. So now I want to take my darker purple, and I'm not really sure how much I'm going to need because I'm winging it, but I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut whatever this is. Is there a wider end? This end's a little wider, so we'll use this. And I'm just going to cut it 1 inch, same as the other one. And just like the other one, I'm going to glue it in half and then cut those little snips. So glued in half to make 1/2 inch strip. It's the same size, so we're good. And then I'll make a bunch of those little snips again. Oh, you can hear my neighbor's dog. I like the felt flowers. I like that they're a little different. I have these wool scraps. I might as well use them. They kind of add something. All right, so now I'm just going to start where I left off on the other one. My end wasn't quite together. I'm going to put my glue right on here to get it started. So I just got them connected, and now I can, and I'm going to go like once around here and then measure on my piece to see how far I can go. I'm making a mess. I can go around again. So we'll probably use this whole strip, however long it was. I didn't even measure. Hopefully it's enough that each one gets 2. If not, I can cut another one and keep going. It's very forgiving. Almost. So there's my flower. And you can tell some places have 2, and I'm just a little bit shy. So I might just do one more little tiny smidge. Just to line it up. I won't need this whole piece. Avalanche. I know I won't need that end, and it was ratty. So I know I'm going to add flowers, leaves, and then once I get this piece done, we'll see if I want to add other flowers or just leave it as is. It's so little space that I might just leave it as is. So this one I'm not going to overlap. I'm going to try and just match up. And I really just need to right here. In order for them all to have the 2 leaves, the 2 rows. So there's my little flower. And you could, the more you go around, the bigger it gets. So that's going to go up there, and I don't think I will do. So I cut out of my green last night. I just freehanded a little leaf, and then I used the first one to cut the second one to try and get them to match. So these might be too big. I'm gonna find a little piece of, like I said, just a little scrap of whatever I had. And I kind of had to cut it down. I don't want it to show. And this might be awful and I may have to redo it because it might not be, I don't think it's big enough, so that I can glue my flower on and my leaves underneath. Now the leaves, I'm thinking, because I need it flat to kind of be underneath, but I want it kind of pinched on the end here. I'm going to put a dab of glue right in there and pinch it together. You could embroider the leaves too if you wanted to. So on my other set, I glued it all the way to the edge and tucked it in there because there were more flowers. But this one I kind of want to leave a flat section that will sit under my flower a little bit. So then I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Just kind of pinch it in the middle. Put a little dab of glue in there. I'm just winging it. I'm winging it with these. I don't really know what I'm doing. Pepper's trying to bust in my closet. So I have my little piece here. I've got, this one came undone. 2 leaves. We'll see how this looks together. So I'm just slapping some glue down and gluing these on. With enough room, theoretically, oh, this looks terrible, to put my flower in the middle. That's not going to work. There's too much leaf showing on both of them. So I'm going to move them over. No. Ugh. All right, this isn't working. I'm gonna. I think my leaves are too big, and that's what my problem is. All right, scrap those, starting from scratch. So just 2 little leaf shapes. Once I've got one that looks okay, I'll use it to make the second. And I don't think I can do the bending when it's flat like this. This is going to be much better. All right, so we're going to go with my flower and the two little leaves that are just flat. I'm going to glue them to the bottom of the flower. And then I'll glue the whole thing down on. So I just tried to get them even, right? You could do more than two. I'm making it too complicated. So then this is going to go whichever way I feel looks best. Right on there. All right, we'll slap some glue on here and call it good. And then one last thing I was going to do, I have some Jabco pins. There is a little bee in this chart, so I thought I would take one of these little bee pins and depending on where I want it, pop it right in. So there we go. We worked it out together. See, sometimes you just have to try something and then decide, no, that's not working for me. These would be really pretty if you did some embroidery on them. I'm new to embroidery and I didn't want to mess with that with you guys. So my bees in there. I think it came out cute. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, you can find these. They're like a mini tabletop chalkboard stand in the wedding section. And have fun with it. All right, bye guys.